You were too kind. Thank you.
I don't think it's, you can't take it. Yeah.
No, I know.
Oh, turn on.
10 to 15 meters, no earlier. There's an exclamation point in our notes.
Because the CD has a pump that puts it the pressure
Mm-hmm.
where it starts the pump. And turn up on the surface.
Makes sense.
Rapid. Earlier reps. 3-0. Guess I should be 0. Get that 0.1 out of there.
Okay, we've got 1,300 meters, just over, 1390 to the seafloor. Just over an hour.
Good morning, Sam. It's Julie.
Ready for control. Bumped. Roger.
Good morning, Sam. This is Julie. Do you hear me?
Good morning, Julie. We can hear you.
I'm glad to see we're making the descent.
We're on the way.
On the way down, going down.
1,340 meters now to go. And we are today diving on East Santa Cruz Canyon Wall.
Yeah, this should be a fun dive. Very vertical, very different from last night.
Excellent. And what are our objectives today?
We are going to be traversing the wall, coming up slowly on it today. And we're still going to be trying to look for corals and sponges based on the target species list. And if we happen to get any grunge, I don't know if we'll do it on this dive at all, but sample some of that, or sort of brachiopods. We're also going to be taking water samples for eDNA, particulate organic matter, and microplastics. And I don't think it says sediment cores and soft sediment as well, but since this is a wall, I don't know if we do much of that today. We'll see. And then I think for some of our, I don't know if this will be a good site for photomosaics or not. We'll have to kind of see how it pans out and if we come across some good outcroppings during the dive.
Sounds good. Sounds like got our work cut out for us.
We have our work cut out for us, yes. Lizzie's logging on. She's been having issues with the V-Link right now, but she's working through it.
After that, we'll be here.
I know. So this is kind of a neat location on the south side of Santa Cruz Island in the Challenge National Marine Sanctuary. It's one of the deepest locations in the sanctuary, and it's always a fun place to explore. There's a lot of exploration that needs to be done here.
But it sounds like this area has been surveyed in the past a little bit.
They've done some mapping. I know side scan sonars a while ago, and then I know you guys have, with the Nautilus, we've been doing the multi-beam sonar array mapping. And now it's really about ground truthing it and trying to see, based on the data that's been collected, looking at some of the different bathymetry components. Do we have some good suitable habitat here for deep sea coral gardens communities, and looking at sponges, all that great stuff.
Got it.
Looks like we have a few waypoints. Looking at it, kind of come straight up and then traverse over and then up again.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I'm still having trouble accessing the science chat. I've sent it an email, but I haven't heard back.
If the email is to Nicole, she was just on deck, so she's probably...
Is that who I should email? I was emailing Matt.
Ah, okay. That works too.
I don't even know how you do it. You see that? I see that there's targets all in.
Yeah. So now you want NavG back?
I do. So somewhere in here.
There are targets here.
Yeah, so you could, there is a function.
Yeah.
Give me a range and bearing target. You just select the target.
Ah, gotcha.
Give me a range and bearing. And I can just look at it. That's where I can pick up.
Interesting.
And also get right. Like drag the mouse or something. I think there's different modes.
Good morning, Lizzie.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. A little bit soft, but I can hear you.
Did this help? Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay. Had to do some reconfigurations and totally reboot my laptop, I think.
Range.
Just got a little wonky.
Always a nice way to start the day. Reboot.
Yeah.
Drag it.
Luckily, we've got an hour of descent.
Yes. So I was just looking at the map, Lizzie, of where we're planning to go on this dive, and looking at some of the objectives. So
When you let go of the mouse, you look at
do you think sort of if we do get into any of the grunge or sediment samples, that'll be when we're sort of traversing across and then going back up again before we make the final ascent?
If anything, I feel like I'm trying to navigate back to that folder. Where we land could possibly be soft sediment at that first waypoint because it's kind of more of a gentle slope, and the first few waypoints would be where I would expect to potentially run into soft sediment. Whether or not we'll find shell hash there, we'll have to see when we touch down.
Yeah, the shell hash might be kind of higher at that one, the next sort of. I'm just looking at the map, and it just seems like we kind of come up, and then we move to the west, and then we climb up again.
Yeah. So if you are looking at the first map, that's the bathymetry with the rainbow colors. And yeah, BE is kind of in the center of that valley, almost looking. So potentially some sediment there. But then if you look at the one below that, that has the green and red colors, this is slope. So when we really start going like BG1 to BH to BI, that's going to be some very steep terrain. But when we first land at BE, there's kind of two layers going on here. The first one is that green-red slope, and then underneath it, which is light and dark, so you'll see lighter areas of green and darker areas of green. Anything that looks like lighter is the higher returns of the backscatter underneath it.
Okay.
And so that light blob, like BE, BF, and BG, that's kind of one big area. We're hoping will be hard sediment, but I'm going to guess there's some, or excuse me, hard bottom. But I'm going to guess because that BE is in the valley, it'll be covered with sediment, but we will see.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're going to find.
Okay.
Okay, good. So you found the dive plan.
Yes. I was just looking for the additional dive data recovery report.
Yeah. So if you go down there, it's linked, and then I'll just fill in really quickly some of our.
Here it is. Okay, that's what I was looking for. It's amazing how many documents there are to track. I'm trying to set up my monitors to access everything that I need to and remove the other clutter.
Yeah, in some kind of somewhat organized fashion.
Yes.
I'm going to copy and paste the objectives from last night because I liked how those were organized.
Okay. I'm going to move this over here.
Well, you're busy driving the ship around. Yeah.
But yeah, this looks like it was one set up to do exactly what you're looking for, but it no longer goes anywhere, it seems, unless it's showing up somewhere in your GUI.
I don't understand that, why it would be so different than, I mean, should be the same thing. I think we have an older version, a less supported version.
Because yeah, the way this is set up, it looks like if you hit send, it's going to like pop up on your screen and be like, go this way, or at least here somewhere.
Well, it should all be on here.
Right. but it's not.
Yeah. Well, it should, it should have one of these windows up here.
Yeah.
It just says range and bearing, right? Constantly. It's like
Yeah.
you select a target, and then it should say range and bearing.
Yeah.
And then I could just look at it and go, oh, I need to go that way.
Yep.
And I think it has it. It's just not very apparent how one does that.
Well, it has this part. It just doesn't have the display part.
Like, yeah. Does this stuff work? The vertical velocity and the time to surface?
I don't think so.
Wow.
Yeah, that's also helpful.
Yeah. This I don't. Why do I care?
Good question.
Sam, how was the transit to Santa Cruz last night from San Miguel?
I got a little early in the middle, but I think it went okay. Steve, how was sample processing?
Pretty quick. Nothing too complicated last night. None of the cup corals we collected were the target orange cup coral. They were all caryophyllates.
Oh no!
So.
Oh no!
Really?
Yeah.
It seems so promising.
I don't even. How do we go on from here?
No, I think we just give up. We just stop.
I was kind of thinking that because when we took the top of the first one, it didn't look right underneath. Huh.
Oh well.
Okay.
We tried. We gave it our best effort.
Sure did. In the last stretch.
Yeah, it was kind of stressful too. I felt a lot of pressure.
Yeah. After such a calming down.
Gotta meet that objective.
I know.
Yeah.
Self-imposed.
Yeah.
Stress.
Yeah, it was my fault that it was that the way it was. Shoot. Okay. What the heck does orange cup coral look like then?
Well, what about that one that was on the sponge at the beginning?
Did we collect it or?
No, we decided not to collect it because there was only one.
It probably was the one.
The one.
You know what the most drift words in exploration are?
What?
We'll get the next one.
Oh no.
Yep. That's what I said. Famous last word. Well, if we do happen, I think we're going to be way too deep this particular dive, but if we do happen to see them, say, in footprint or I don't think we're going to see them in North Santa Cruz, and I think those are going to be our last two dives, but if we happen to come across them, getting something from this region.
Specifically looking, from the region. Okay, she wasn't specifically, it wasn't that specific location.
She was, that would have been ideal to get her something from San Miguel, but I think if we can at least get her something from the region, maybe we can give her something to go off of, to talk about, and contextualize what she's got going on already with her data. So we shall see.
Okay. So today, on the the Inner Space Center. I think I was on the back, looking at the feeds. I think it was on the high latency instead of the low latency. Anyway, I was experiencing a delay last night, still, and trying to track what was going on. So today I think I'm more real time than yesterday, I hope. Right now I can't tell because everything's just, water column.
Blue, yeah.
Yeah.
So you did have the science center feed up last night?
I did, but the top 2 rows were black, and one of them said that my system didn't support it. So I was like, so I went to the bottom 2 rows, and I could access that, but I was still having a lag. So I was going between that and the live feed. But today I was able to access the top row, which is that I could go back and look at it.
Interesting. I wonder why that was.
I don't know. I mean, I rebooted my computer this morning too. Maybe I just needed to give it a refresh, and I was able to access that. So my only weak link right now is the science chat, and once I have access to that, I think I'm ready to go.
Rule the world.
Lizzie, I was saying earlier that the Santa Cruz Island Basin is a really interesting place to explore. I believe this is back in 2017. This is where we found the whale fall and the prickly sharks. It was another, not at this exact location, but within the Santa Cruz Island Basin area.
Oh, cool.
And, seems like we come across really unusual encounters in this portion of the sanctuary. So it should be a fun dive, hopefully.
I sure hope so. So was this on Nautilus where we saw the prickly sharks?
Yes. I believe
I'll have to go look to see where at near in and around this area.
Yeah.
Should have the dives on my.
We should have the logs for it. Ryan might know. I think Ryan might have been on the cruise. We could look at the files.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 2016 or 2017.
Okay. Maybe 2016 because I wasn't here yet until 2017, and then I got to participate because everyone else was busy, but I was super happy to still participate. And it was more of it wasn't Channel Islands leading the dives. It was more kind of like a courtesy representative spot where it was just one person, and we were doing a lot of the shallower dives looking for sea caves.
Yes, because it probably was
my
16
first experience
then.
on the Nautilus. Mhm. Which that was so much fun. I just remember being very nervous though because I didn't know quite what it meant to be in the control van and be the science contact and like narrating. And they're like, Lizzie, tell us about the Channel Islands. And I had only been there. I was a fellow. had only been there for a couple months, and I was like,
Did you handle it like a champ?
I'm the expert. How is this? Oh gosh. Oh, and I remember having corn dogs for breakfast. It was so good. There's a lot of variety. They don't just serve corn dogs for breakfast on the Nautilus, but I do remember that being an option, and I thought I was tickled.
Story checks out. There were definitely a couple major corn dog years, but I haven't seen any this last couple of cruises. Anyone else have any corn dog sightings? No corn dog sightings.
Maybe she didn't get the feedback she wanted, so she took it off the menu for breakfast.
I just always remember the food choices were amazing.
Oh, the variety is incredible.
Yes. Yeah.
And that like mid-afternoon sweet snack.
Mm-hmm. Always a hit. And I loved all the fresh squeezed orange juice too in the morning.
Yes.
That was nice.
Just makes getting up that much easier. All right, I was going to bring up the Nautilus dives to see, let's see, where were they?
So right now I have the Herc depth at 614 meters. Is this correct? 619 meters, 619 meters.
That's correct.
Yep. Oh, cool. Okay. I'm plugged in the dashboard.
Excellent.
Half hour to the bottom.
This is just flying by. Fantastic. Do you remember
from the
what part of
surface,
Santa
when we were
Cruz
getting ready to
came in?
start the dive, it looked pretty calm. It looked like a nice marine layer, typical Southern California morning in the fall.
Yeah, definitely. Really beautiful out. I haven't seen the sun in a couple days, though. That would be nice, I think.
It's been that way on the mainland, too.
Yeah, and it might even rain this weekend, so I'm not sure we're going to get to see it in the next several days.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the previous Nautilus dives pulled up. We've actually done some pretty darn good coverage of this area. NAO83 and NAO74 and NAO103 have all been within this the canyon and the basin, which is a pretty large, really large basin. So, but in terms of like spots within the sanctuary, it's pretty good coverage.
Well, I know there was a lot of interest. There has been a lot of interest from Guy Cochran, the USGS, looking at fault, different faults along this area too, and so it's a pretty interesting area, geologically speaking. Because there were prior to the multi-beam sonar mapping, there was they did a lot of side scan sonar mapping here too.
Oh, okay.
And from what I understand, the basin is an old munitions dump.
Yes.
And so I don't know if we've encountered any sort of that kind of debris in any of the basin dives or not, but that's always a possibility here.
And what about this area for fishing?
I was lucky enough to sail with Mbari on the Western Flyer. They too were looking just to have someone from the sanctuary join them because they were in the Santa Cruz Basin. Actually, mostly outside of the sanctuary, but they had done a lot of mapping because pretty much the majority of the Santa Cruz Basin part itself, the flat part, is 2,000 meters, very flat, very soft, friable sediment. And they had mapped a bunch of targets a few years earlier where they were going to try to ground truth where the boundaries were for this new potential disused ammunition dump site. But weather and logistics and a few other things had kept them from getting the Western Flyer out here sooner. And they had been doing similar work in Central and Northern California and other areas of the Pacific. And so they were really curious about this particular one, not expecting any active waste, like nothing radioactive, but there are some other locations up north that had radioactive waste. And the Doc Ricketts was the ROV they used, and it was equipped with this Raman laser, which I don't know much about laser technology, but they simplified it for me, where they would point the laser at something, and then the device would measure anything reflected back. And that would be a unique like signature, like fingerprint in terms of like the molecular or atomic structure of that material. And so they would be able to say if this was mostly steel, iron, if it was certain kinds of active waste, carbon, those kinds of things. So they were out looking to see if they would find barrels and if they could shine their laser with inside of it, or if it was broken open, or they were just
Lizzie, are you there?
That might have been my fault. I just increased her volume. And that didn't happen, did it? No way.
No, you deleted her.
No.
you increased her right out of the stratosphere. We can't hear her now. I was kind of excited about what she had to say there. That's kind of nice. It's kind of a great technology tool to be able to sort of characterize some of these different images that pop up.
Please, someone write her.
Sam, you were asking about fishing, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I think that's maybe when I suspect Lizzie's audio might have been cutting out around that time, actually. But yeah, just curious if this area was an active fishing area, since we were always on the lookout for potential line or here.
I don't know if the wall is as much, but yes, I mean this area has been fished, and so that could be a possibility. We'll have to keep watching for line. But if you look at the bathymetry maps, Santa Cruz Basin is huge. I mean, it extends out from this part of Santa Cruz Island, and it goes out almost to Santa Barbara, on your